angels online. The angels online. The angels online.
This is Angel. We're here for a bonus episode, the Generation Desegregation Program episode, brought to you by me, Angel. We got a packed house, as you can see, because we got something to talk about. And you know what the line is. Let's talk about it. Because you got to get the people what they want. And we're going to start right in front of me. I want you guys to tell who you are, how you, what your relationship with the DSEG program is here in Missouri, where you went to school, where you graduated, things of that nature. We're going to start, before we get with the ones online, we're going to start with the ones present in the studio. We're going to start with this man across from me. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, I'm Michael Shedd.
Ladies and gentlemen, he a fool.
Hi, I'm Michael Shedd. I am cultural leader, influencer, legendary figure in the ballroom community. Some say legendary in the streets, and also celebrity fashion designer to the stars. And I have been privileged to be in the DSEG program and graduated in 2005, 20 years ago.
Shh, don't tell everybody your business. From what school? Where did you attend school, sir?
EHS.
Eureka High School, for my listeners that don't know.
I know, good times.
And next to him we have...
So I am Kasia Steele. So here in the St. Louis area, I am an actress, voiceover, and in front of the camera professionally in the HR space. And I attended the schools in the Afton school systems from, I'm telling my age, but from 88 to 97.
Next we got...
Hello, everyone. This is Ronika Moody. I graduated from Eureka High School 05, but, I have to shout out because I started Rockwood at Utah and Rockwood South. So, but I also attended Parkway, Afton. So I've been in DSEG since the 4th grade. And I am a consultant, small business owner, do career and business development, grant writing, and I'm excited to be talking about this topic today.
Go ahead.
Hello, I am Katie Platt. I went to Eureka High School. I graduated in 03. I am in human resources. I currently work at Children's Hospital as the senior human resource manager, and so definitely was friends with and a part of many people within the DSEG program.
Wonderful. Next up.
Awesome. Hello, my name is LaTanya Davis, and I was a student in the DSEG program. I started in 4th grade as well, and I graduated from Eureka High School, 97, aging myself. And I have had the pleasure of not only just being a student in the program, but I actually became a teacher at a school in St. Louis County that accepted desegregation students. So I kind of got both ends. And I'm currently a recruitment coordinator at a university in Missouri.
Perfect. Here you go, sir. Go ahead.
How y'all doing? I'm Royal Davis. I'm an artist, musician, songwriter. Currently, I specialize in landscaping, hardscaping, and working in radioactive zones and doing radioactive work. And I went to Eureka and I graduated in
Go Wildcats.
2014. And we're gonna go. We're gonna go with those on the line. We're gonna start with Miss Taylor. Taylor, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Taylor Davidson. I was Eureka High School. I would have been class 07. I transferred out though I have a master's in education, master's in social work. I've spent a lot of time in education. And yeah, I technically wasn't in the DTech program because we lived out there, but that's a whole other story.
I
Still
love it.
counts.
That's
Still
why-
counts.
I love it. That's
You're
why
part of it.
because we're gonna have some examples. Actually, perfect. We're gonna go with Mr. Mike. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
How's it going? This is Michael Oldroyd, aka the Droid, aka Miguel Old R2D2, and I'm a humorist at times, also a human. Former school attendee, right? Went to public school, grew up in California and Missouri. Two different experiences there. When I went to Missouri, I went to LaSalle Springs Middle School and then Eureka. Both those schools were DSEG schools.
Yep.
EHS Wildcat for life. And
Same.
former football player and track and field athlete. And appreciate you guys for doing this. This is fun.
What class were you in, sir?
2005.
Perfect. Thank you. And our next up, we have Anthony. Go ahead, sir.
How y'all doing? This is Anthony Perry. Graduated Eureka 2002. Started at Gagey Elementary in third grade. Have my MBA. I'm in senior leadership for a Fortune 500 company right now, living in Miami, raising man and running a business.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. And I am Rhonda Angel Marie Diva Ramsey, graduate of Eureka High School, class of 2005. I started in Eureka in the DSEG program in kindergarten and been out there my entire life except 8th grade when I went to Brittany Woods in the University School District, which was wonderful. That 1 year was great. I still have those friends, brothers and sisters to this day. But I graduated from Eureka, homecoming queen, class of 2005 out there, okay?
Yes.
So that's me. That's what I'm talking about. So this episode, what prompted this episode is looking at the media and what has happened recently with the Philadelphia incident, girls spray painting their face black, someone in Eureka High School putting whites only, colors only just recently, about a month ago. And then Latanya does a blog, and she mentioned in a blog a couple of years ago when the incident occurred where I think some other Eureka students painted their face, and it was a big uproar. So when I started the Angels Online, of course, I already wanted to do a DSEG episode because listening to people and having conversations with my friends and family, there are so many different perspectives. So this gives the Generation Desegregation Experience gives information and perspective from viewpoints from different generations right here. We got 97, 93, people that were out there in 2014, class of 2005. So we got years of change within society that has been going on and that has occurred. Shout out to Taylor for letting me know about Brittany Hogan. I was not in town. I did not live in St. Louis when that young lady, she was the Director of Educational Equity and Diversity, and she resigned in April 2021. But from what I read about, the woman did amazing work with the students from the inner city and just tried to make it equality across the board for all students in general out there. I saw she was a part of Marquette. She was a part of the middle schools, the high schools. So shout out to her. I never got to meet her, but you know what? I heard great things about her. So, we just have a guest that just entered. Please introduce yourself. What class, your name, where'd you attend? Go ahead.
Hey, y'all. I am Whitney Crow. I was Whitney King. I graduated from Eureka.
Okay. Class
2004.
Okay. Woo. 2004. What do you do now?
Now I am a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
I am helping my husband run his business.
Good.
We are a part of the new American manufacturing renaissance.
Let's go.
Which means that he is the forefront of pushing the manufacturing sector forward, especially in communities that are underserved, so Black and brown kids, because they don't know about manufacturing. They don't know that the baby boomers are leaving. They don't know that you can go to school for 18 months and make $40 an hour, which will in turn raise us out of generational poverty.
Come on.
That's his biggest push. He's currently in San Francisco.
He's in California right now.
He is. This is second week he's been gone, so it's crazy. He's been in Forbes, so it's just really a blessing to get him in front of people, and he's so passionate about it because we went to, predominantly white high schools. We have a 17-year-old son, so it's definitely something that we are really passionate about.
Shout out to Andrew Crow. Whitney, where'd you graduate? Where'd you graduate college from?
Washington University.
WashU. Come on. Let's go. Latanya, go ahead.
All right, I'm going to start it off because the reason we all are here is because of the Brown versus Board of Education case that passed in 1954. And because of that, it actually was a class action lawsuit. A lot of people don't know that. I had the pleasure of meeting one of Mr. Brown's daughters. I got to actually introduce her to the school where I went to college, and she talked to us about that case, that pivotal case, which is the reason why we all are sitting around this table right now. So just wanted to talk about how it started.
I love it. Topeka, Kansas.
Topeka,
FYI.
Kansas, yes.
Central, Central High School, Little Rock 9. Ernest Green, people. Ruby Bridges, Rudy Bridges, So we want to make sure we acknowledge them because that's why we're all sitting at this table together right now. It's not just all black people sitting right here. We got Michael Oldroyd on the line, we got Katie here, and we got listeners actually, and we have viewers who had some stuff to say that I'll mention later on. So let's get right into it. I have a question. And remember, this is open dialogue, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have a script. We just here to talk about it. We respect our audience. We respect one another. We respect the voice. So why have multiple racism scandals seem to have happened more in recent years? Have these situations always been happening, but weren't broadcasted? Right? Social media existed until now when social media presence in high schools have skyrocketed. Or is it due to new level of hatred and a lack of discipline and accountability amongst certain people? Anybody can start that off.
It's a mixture of both.
Come on.
Just about to say that.
Well, let's talk about it.
I think it's a culmination of both.
Yes.
I think that when we were in high school, I don't know if it was microaggressions. And
that was a part of the question. Come on.
And we were kind of oblivious to it. However, I honestly, and you and I talk about it all the time.
Correct.
I don't feel like it was like that in Eureka for us. I genuinely feel like we were a family.
And respected.
Absolutely. I feel like our white counterparts loved it. You know what I mean? I literally feel like we were just a family. However, like I said, I do have a 17-year-old son. So watching that aspect and how things have definitely changed based on social media and based on the fact that I think this generation is so much less tolerant of the things that maybe we tolerated or maybe the things that we were oblivious to.
And some are not even educated or even pay attention to it. They're just ignorant to it. They have no knowledge because it's not talked about. It's like, and they're just walking around like, oh, okay, this is what social media, nobody's teaching them. Nobody's talking about it. They're not trying to learn. I was trying to learn. I took AP Euro and I dropped up out of that. I dropped that class. You're going to fail me because I don't care about that. But I promise you in 8th grade when I went to Brittany Woods and had Mr. Minner as my teacher and he taught me about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, I didn't fall asleep because I wanted to know, and that was interesting to me, because that changed history in a positive manner. Because that school, whites were the minority at Brittany Woods in U City, so I think that's important. Anybody want to add to that? Taylor, you want to add?
Angel, was that Whitney speaking?
Yeah, that was Whitney speaking.
Oh, okay. Hi, Whitney. Taylor. Hi. I always feel like the odd man out. Like I hear when everybody said class, whatever, Eureka, and I hear the hooting, hollering. There's like a lot of pride. That's just not the experience that I had. And I know everybody had different experience, but I remember even coming in because I actually started in Rockwood School District at LaSalle. So I was there 8th grade. Then I did Eureka 9th and 10th. And I just remember, like, over the summer, just always, not always, but I've heard stories about people coming up to the school, in their Jeeps waving Confederate flags. Like, there was always that underlying, like, tension, racial tension. And I know that a lot of people felt like Eureka was a family. And I'm not taking away from the teachers who were supportive or the friendships that were made. But I think that at the time, because, it's 2023, and this was, we were there 03, 04. So I know that there's like a 20-year difference, but I think that there's just a lack of like understanding about like biases and just the education about just systemic racism. I think the teachers at the time that we were there did not have those tools and resources to really talk to students and understand like just different cultural backgrounds. So I think a lot of that missed, and then some people went, between the cracks, to be brief.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, so I don't know what y'all experience.
Go ahead. That's why.
Being on the lighter spectrum, being very light skinned at the time. At the time, yes, honey, I'm on your color, honey.
He was still lighter. He was lighter then. Yeah. Light brain unite.
Okay, hello. I didn't get microaggressions because I was light skinned and I was very well spoken. It was, you're totally not like that.
I got that.
Are you? Those your friends? Okay, so like, what do you guys do on weekends? Because like we do this and we want to invite you over. I'll never forget. So funny. I'm gonna mention her name.
Should you?
Who?
I said should you? Yeah, be careful.
Ain't nobody gonna hit me in my mouth.
Okay, whatever.
Black History Month. Okay, exactly. So I had an experience in 4th grade where we had a kid named Ryan O'Rourke. We actually made up. So 20 years later. So a really good friend of mine at the time in 4th grade, because everyone knew we all were black. But mind you, I was very super light and long hair. And so one day in class, one of my new friends, Ryan O'Rourke, kicked me, right? And one of my good sisters, who parents just so happen to be like Black Panthers, she shouts across the room, "You don't kick black people." Every white kid in the classroom turned around and go, "You're black?"
Oh wow.
The same weekend of that situation was a play, and I was supposed to spend the night at the kid's house and everything because we lived in the city. Every single parent said, "Hiya!" My little black ass wasn't allowed to spend weekends in the county anymore because once they identified me as being a black child, it came with all these other questions. And soon after, they saw my father. And so I'm light. My father is definitely a man of color. And, 6'2", big black gold fronts without an ounce of whiteness in him. And so I would be challenged throughout my high school career, especially being an effeminate gay male. I would hear it all. And so I think the microaggressions weren't even the microaggressions. They were attached to, we know you're gay. And we're going to add the black to it, too, because we're going to give you a 2-for-1 special. But Lord knows.
You black first.
It always leads.
Oh, yes. And so it was a little litty combo, but they did not know my mouth was that fierce at that age. My God. And so I would challenge everything. And I think a lot of the things that a lot of people may have not seen was because a lot of us were checking them starting off. So because you know that I know this is not appropriate, so, and I can hold you accountable, and this is how I'm going to hold you accountable, because not only if I'm going to tell my mom, we have white attorneys in the family who believe me, and they're going to go to bat to me, so watch what the fuck you say about me and to me, and also the students, and sometimes, even adding the piece of, you are being gay and black to the pool. There were situations, like coaches tolerating, I didn't feel comfortable dressing out. I remember a coach one day was like, "Oh, well, you need to dress out." And I was like, "Well, I'm not trying to fight this week." I'm not trying to fight this week because you know what it's like to be in a locker room with those boys, but I know what it's really like to be in the locker room with them boys. And I don't know if this week I'm trying to get suspended. So I know it's different for certain other people, but for me, I definitely picked and choose my battles really well. And I think even as an adult, I still challenge that because even still, I got the hate from if I wasn't good enough from my community because you were black and gay, the white community because you were tolerated black and gay, and so still to this day, I still have post-traumatic stress disorder from men, and I'm gay, right? It's a lot, but that's a whole nother episode.
Okay, it is. So, does anybody else have anything to say about this question?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just wanted to.
yeah.
Oh, go. Okay, Mike. Mike, go ahead.
Okay. So Michael Oldroyd here. Rhonda labeled me as a white guy, which I am part Asian, so let's give it up now.
All right.
Yes.
But growing up in California and then moving to Missouri when I was 11, gave me really two different perspectives right off the bat. And I think, if you zoom out and look at it this from a bird's eye level, I mean, going back to the foundation of our country, every state is different. And California is a very progressive, diverse, altruistic type place. And we really learned in school, practice what we preach, diversity and love and, openness to all. And I feel like even the way my childhood neighborhood was like the demographics, it was very mixed. There was no white people were most of the people living there. It was very, very diverse, and you could feel the love. And what I will say is there's, definitely a lot of love in Missouri, but when I moved to Missouri, I started, it's mostly white people in the suburbs, which is where I moved to. And it was the first time in my life where I started to hear little jokes when, black people weren't around that shocked me. And, we know the origin of Missouri's, it was, we know the history there. And it was very disturbing, quite frankly, to see that happening. I always thought that, thank goodness we had the Deseg program. However, I always felt like that's not enough. That was a Band-Aid covering a much deeper problem. And the Band-Aid, in my opinion, was not even close to being a fix to like the ideal solution toward equality and love all around and everything. So sadly, in the last couple of years, and I'm just going to come out and say it, not to make this political, but in 2016, things started to shift toward allowing more hateful and racist type actions, based on leadership we had, in my opinion, and just how certain precedents were set, and that suddenly it became okay to be more disrespectful to people all around, regardless of race. And I feel like that was a new beginning as far as things starting to be acceptable or more acceptable to be a more hateful or judgmental person based on the color of someone's skin or their sexuality or anything else. And I feel like obviously we went through a really hard time in 2020 overall. It was a very dark time for all of us, and I feel like we were really, everything was boiling, and racial tensions and everything else was at an all-time, at least during the time of my lifespan that I've been here since 1986, I had never seen so much exposure to outright racism and just disturbing hatred that exists. And I think that there's a lot of people out there, young people, that don't even understand what they're even talking about, or they don't even understand the how impactful some of these negative things can be said, like that video on CNN that Don Lemon was talking about, those girls with the spray paint. I can't speak for those girls, but I don't think they have any clue what they're even saying, and we just, it is definitely, from my perspective, things have gotten worse, and I think part of it is 2016, but I as a beginning to this, but I also think that there's so much deep rooted stuff that hasn't been resolved and fixed that it became exposed. It became exposed during a really hard time.
Wow. Thank you, Mike.
Hey, Liz,
Go ahead,
Ray. I want to chime in. But I want you to ask that question again, so I make sure that I don't go around the question.
I got you. Why have multiple racism scandals seem to have happened more in recent years? Have these situations always been happening, but weren't broadcasted until now when social media presence in high schools have skyrocketed? Or is it due to new level of hatred and lack of discipline or accountability among certain people?
Alrighty, so I'm gonna go back first, and I'm gonna go home. I think a lot of this first starts in the house, right?
Right.
So what type of parents you have, how you raised, and how you upbringing. What social media has did was allow people to expose who they really are.
Come on.
I think these things have always happened, but they have been hidden. And again, I never really had too many bad experiences while I was in Eureka, but I think that goes back to the fact of who we were as a people out there. Because if any type of disrespect was happening, it would have been met with disrespect.
Come on.
And that's just outright how it would have been handled. But I have lifelong friends.
Hold on, Anthony. Hold on. Anthony, your phone cutting out.
That's because of this damn Wi-Fi.
Miami Wi-Fi, guys. Don't go to Miami.
Hey,
It said the
for
last
real.
thing you said was
But-
you had lifelong friends.
Yeah, lifelong friends who don't look like me. We don't vote along the same political lines, but we respect one another. We love one another. We care about one another. So I always take it home with everything that goes on. Everything that goes on in the world. I started in the house. Who raised you? Like I said, social media expose people for who they are, and some people just want to follow trends, not knowing them trends can get you fucked up. So you have to know who you are. You got to know what you're doing, but that's not an excuse.
Come on.
Third, the political environment. I'm with Mike. 2016 played a big role in that, but I'm gonna go back 4 years prior to that when Obama came to office, and then it exposed how people really felt about us. There were things that he could never accomplish in office just because people wouldn't vote for his legislator, whatever the case may be, just because of how he looked. So I take it back 4 years prior to that. Now, as far as the DSEG program, you know me, I'm a proponent of it. Again, I also piggyback off Mike. I think it was a band-aid for the things that are going on in our community in St. Louis. We're probably the most segregated city in America, and that's just come from my travel. We know when you get outside of 270, especially if you're going west, south, it's primarily Caucasian, white. Now North County, primarily probably black or mixed. But when you talk about the DSEG program in our inner cities, poverty, we have the worst schools, the worst roads. They don't invest in our communities. And then I think when you send us out to county schools, what I was thinking was, and I have a high senior, by the way. I thought it was better for them because I thought we were more cultured the same, listening to the same music, doing the same things. And then I find out when I moved to Wisconsin that there was still some racial tension. Again, like I teach you meet disrespect with disrespect if it gets to that level. But I still think there's a lot of work to be done. But I'm not here to be, to beat a dead horse. I think we've progressed a lot as a country, but I think when Obama came into office, it kind of exposed people for who they really are.
I think it's a really how we looked at things because we were kids, so we were just there to get our education and have fun. A lot of us didn't have, like I'm someone that pays attention to everything and everyone around me.
Yes, you did. You were
but everyone isn't like that though. So my perspective of my experience at like Eureka is like, for example, when there was an election and I think Bush won. It was it was Kerry and Bush, was it, or who was it? Gore and Bush. And one of our teachers ran through the halls and was super excited that Bush had won because that election they had to recount the votes. And he ran through the halls, was screaming, and it was like, oh, you one of my favorite teachers, but how you just reacted to this news really hurt my spirit. And then, or like I'm going to visit one of my best friends that was Caucasian, And, you know, there's pictures everywhere. Her parents with Bush, like they were huge Bush supporters. And, you know, they used to be like, well, you can't go in the city. You know, they don't let them drive in the city. So it was like, y'all saying that we didn't have those times, but we did. We experienced it. It's just about if you actually paid attention to everything that was going on
And if they were
around
bold enough to show their colors.
Yes. And I feel like people were bold enough. It's just about if we paid attention. Because y'all remember, was it right during the pandemic or right before, where there was the hashtag Rockwood, when everyone was talking about their experience in Rockwood, and people was going back to the 90s and when we was in high school and telling about their racist experience. We all had it. It's just about
alumni group.
Yeah.
And they were reading the comments.
And then we started a new group for to go out and talk to the administrators in Rockwood about, because people was old and new was talking about the racist experience. So it's always been there. It's just about if our eyes were open at that time to see everything that was going on, because as kids we just looking at all the fun times that we had. Like, I give an example. I lived in a shelter before, and I was a kid. For my mom, it was a horrible experience. But for me and my brothers and all the other kids in the shelter, we had fun. We got all these kids to play with. We were literally having fun. While our moms over there crying their hearts out, sad, because we gotta live in a shelter. But we had fun because that's our experience.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like, one thing to understand, like when the case happened, obviously the community didn't want desegregation to happen. Families did not want white and black mixed at all. They were against it. I mean, it was kind of like Juneteenth. Like, when it happened, it didn't happen immediately. It took over 5 years, and even some cases even 10 years for schools to be desegregated properly. And I remember when my mom signed us up in the desegregation program, we were in 4th grade. I remember because it was the Plessy versus Ferguson, separate but equal. And I remember in the elementary school in 3rd grade opening book, like having old books, you know, terrible facilities. Then we went out to Eureka and everything was clean and new. And I remember opening a new book every year. We had a brand new book to open, and it was beautiful. And it was like little things of little kids, like, wow, this is so cool.
Come on.
And we didn't have that back in the city schools. So all those students that didn't go to the desegregation to schools out in the county, they had to experience that for years in facilities that were just terrible. I think of Cleveland ROTC and how long school students have gone to that school that deteriorated. And we're out there in the county and the beautiful schools. I mean, it was nice, but what about those other kids that are experiencing that?
Right.
And as a teacher, seeing both sides of the spectrum, and how seeing some perspectives of teachers who had students of color in their classroom, and we talk about microaggressions and how teachers feel. I got a chance to see what teachers' perspectives were, almost like if they forgot that I was in the classroom or in our meetings and got to listen to things that they said. And it's really sad because they talked about how Black boys are sent to the office 4 times more than other students. And that might have to do with just the internal racism that some teachers have, which is dangerous.
That's why
it's extremely dangerous. So I think of that as a teacher, as an educator, how there's so many things, as a result of this desegregation program. I had a positive experience in the desegregation program. I went in, I had a blast. I had some amazing teachers that convinced me to go to college. I wasn't going to. And I went to college, and we even went back to Eureka to talk to teachers, which was awesome. But not everybody had that positive experience. So when the woman said that her experience wasn't positive, Taylor, I'm listening to you, and that hurts me because I know, even though I did have a positive experience, I understand there's other ends of that spectrum where students didn't have a positive experience. Yes, I experienced racism. I still do, unfortunately. And I try to overcome that with the good that happened in the school at Eureka High School. So thank you for your input. I'm so glad she gave that perspective.
Can I say something to that? Because, like, you talked about how the books were brand new when you came from the city to the county. Because I remember that, too. And we just thought, as kids, we were like, we got better stuff. But now as adults, we think, like, we took the money from the city schools to the county schools. The city schools could be right now just as good as Rockwood or Parkway, but because they receive all of the money that for us
funding for each child,
that attended their school, then it's like so now I look at it because I initially lived in West County, put my daughter in Parkway, but I like being in North County personally now, and it's just like if I could go back, it's like why did I feel like it was better to be at their schools. Like, they have just as many opportunities in the city or at Ferguson, Florissant, though the St. Louis public schools, but I mean, they're all public schools, just different districts or whatever. They have so many opportunities as well, but we don't see that because we're just looking at how the Rockwood and Parkways and how they're testing and how they look. But it's because of us that they look. And
I think it's because, sorry, because I know you have another question. I think it's that too, but also part of the cultural literacy and the government, I don't know if you can say government literacy, that our parents didn't know when and what the hell to show up for, when to what to vote for. Understanding if you agree to this is going to happen. And then 25, odd some years later, look at City Public School now. Look at how now there's even a fight for, they're picking and choosing what kids even go out to county school now. And I think that's even more dangerous because I think about my nieces and nephews who are there now, and I think about my baby nephews, my brother, because my brother ain't got his pieces together in his head. And I think, like, the only thing that's going to get those boys to understand in their future and give them opportunity is getting a proper education. And it sucks to know that they are going to have to be shipped out to certain zones.
Yeah. They don't have to. It's so many opportunities in education.
No, they ain't going to the city while they're going shooting.
I'm sorry. They don't have to attend St. Louis public schools.
And I'm going to piggyback off of that because my oldest son is a senior at SLU High School. And when he started, he was like, Mama, these is all white kids. However, knowing from going to Eureka, from going to WashU, that I have to put you, unfortunately, in these positions because if I don't, your education
you're gonna be labeled.
Absolutely. And you're already 6'2", you know what I mean? Like you are the staple statistic. So what do? We unfortunately have to subject them to cultures and situations that aren't conducive to growing them as people, as people in this society.
Productive members of this society.
Exactly. Emotionally stable. Like, they are met with so much trauma. And I tell them that, like the moms in the moms club, exactly. You see, these kids are hearing gunshots at night. These kids are watching people on social media. You don't understand
see
the
mom and daddy
trauma.
cry because there's 3 or 4 jobs. And I was on this one the other day. My mom and dad, I really never even knew my mom and dad until I got in my late 20s because my mom and dad were full-time workers. They came home at 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock at night, whatever. They went help me out with the homework. You figured it out. You took your black ass, to bed. Got up in the morning. You
go back to school. You better get on that bus. You don't miss that bus. Right. Don't miss that bus. That bus come at 6. Your bus come at 6:10. Get on that bus. Guess what? If you in a house with 3-4 people all go out there, you up at 4:30. Y'all better get in that tub. Do what you need to do.
You gotta wake up. You wake up.
This is a broad.
You miss the bus, you can't go to school because it's an hour away. It's gonna take you. Nobody.
That one question answered about 3 or 4 questions. Microaggressions, questions about the experience in the Deseg program.
Can I say something real quick?
It just answered it. Katie, talk to us.
Talk to us, Katie.
I can say that the DSEG program, as much as now my education on systemic racism and what has brought the community, talking about welfare programs and putting, telling literally moms you can't have the father in the house unless then you won't receive the goods that we'll give you. So you can't get help with your daycare. You can't get help with food, even though we're putting you in school and education that is less than, so then you don't get afforded the opportunities, unfortunately. So it's just a circle of really just disgusting behavior from white society, and I can say that, trying to make sure that we are at all times in the background, trying to keep the Black community down, and that's ultimately what they're trying to do. But I can say that it was a blessing to me. My best friends my whole life have been from that DSEG program.
I'd like to.
Oh, hold on, Mike.
I'd like to enter.
Oh, go ahead. Oh,
okay.
Sure. You talking about what Katie's talking about?
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to clarify that point about white society trying to intentionally do something.
Oh, you
but
let us
if
know
you
about
wanted,
white people.
what?
You let us know about white people.
Let us know, Mike.
Educate us.
Well, I just feel like I think it's important to clarify that I think that there are so many good-hearted and well-intentioned white people out there. A lot of people that may be that really have no idea what's going on. So I just wanted to take that away from an intentional kind of affirmation toward. Some people may be intentional about it, but there's a lot of people that don't understand how everything works, and they're just living their lives, and they may not realize kind of what they're actively participating in. So I just wanted to make sure that I clarified that I don't believe that it's a system where white people are trying to hold Black people down.
So I can respectfully disagree.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Hold on. Taylor was about to say something too. Katie, you finished. Katie, come on.
Go ahead. So I can say, yes, I am a white person, and I do love and support and try to and I can feel what you're saying. But if you actually look at society as a whole, that is not the actual truth. What the truth is, when you look at all of the government programs that we have set up and the different things that we put into place, including there are not healthy grocery stores put in the city. There are so many different things food deserts that happen. So kids are, obesity and diabetes and all of the health problems, the health systemic that we have, and not the health care that's not provided. There are so many things that broaden in that spectrum. But unfortunately, as a white person, I can say it's led through white culture, and it really is. So I get what you're saying, because I'm a white person who adores and loves Black people, and am a part of that, and I try to be an ally with the Black community to try and progress forward in a positive direction. But I can't say that it doesn't happen. I know that it happens, and I watch it myself at work.
Hey, Mike, let me chime in, Mike. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Anthony. Go ahead, sir.
All right. So I'm actually aligned with Mike on this one. As a Black man, I hate to generalize people. That's just because we get generalized a lot. So I like to what's the word I'm looking for? I like to judge people based off, each individual. And when we speak about white America, I'm with you. I think it's not, let's not generalize all white people in white America holding us down. It's the people in political office that make these decisions. But I think when we generalize them, that's because the people that vote for these people to go get in office is white America. But the people who are making these decisions are the people that I think are putting programs and things in place to hold us down. But I hate when we just say white people in general are out to hold us down. I don't believe that, because if you grew up in the community I grew up in the environment I grew up in, the people who held us down look like me.
Right.
Huh?
Come on now.
That was
I'm from the dub. I don't
yeah.
agree. That's a hard for me, Ray, and you my guy.
I'm listening.
It is a far reach for me. And growing up, on the dub and watching and seeing, I would much rather be subjected to my people's bullshit than the opposition, because they are intentionally not trying. Like we can't grow emotionally, we can't grow physically, we can't grow monetarily, mentally. It's so many aspects that I think that once white America just admits that it might not be Mike directly, it might not be Katie directly, but it's her grandma, it's her uncle, it's somebody Mike knows. And until they can address those people, it ain't gonna mean nothing coming from us. It's their responsibility to correct the people, the friends, the workers that they have. That's not on us.
Yeah. I think we're going away from what I was saying. Just piggybacking off of Mike, is let's not generalize.
Don't generalize all white people.
And
we
don't want to generalize all people in general.
We don't want to generalize, just like black people don't want to be generalized. Right. So I get Ray Ray's not disagreeing with what you're saying, but what he's saying is don't generalize all white people, because there are some good people out here, such as Katie or such as a Mike. You know what I'm saying? But there are some trashy people out here who really love to see us down. But at the end of the day, all people, I don't like that word, because if you say all black people, then I have a problem with that. Don't put Rhonda Ramsey. Don't put Rhonda Ramsey with all black people. Don't do that.
Right.
Put Rhonda with the characteristics that she has, that she possessed, that she was born with, that I present, with everything that I've learned in life, and how I continue to thrive or do whatever I need to do positively for these kids and for the people.
Do America see
that?
Angel, you got to say my blood pressure.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm with what y'all saying. I'm just saying, don't generalize me. Say majority. You know what I'm saying? Say whatever you say.
There we go. I believe
it would be majority.
It's majority. I'm with the progression of black people. I'm saying I'm gonna rock with them. I'll die behind it. That ain't what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying let's just not generalize because when you do that and you raising kids, guess what you instilling in them?
Correct.
That, hey, you need to look out for, if they don't look like you, beware.
Right. So we gotta rephrase. We gotta rephrase it with general.
I mean, you still gotta raise your.
Angel, there's
Taylor,
look. I really. So you listen. So I know that you know. I'm thinking about when Mike Brown was murdered. You know how people said social media revealed a lot of people's true character, like people we went to school with, thought we was cool with, and they saying all these crazy things. About people, like, that I would be on the internet typing my heart out till I was black and blue in the face, my fingers numb, arguing about these same topics. So right now my blood pressure is up because I understand what Mike is saying, but I will also say that there's lots of things to read up on. I think everybody needs to do their due diligence and read up on stuff. There are articles right now, because I know why whoever said that, whoever felt away about what Mike just said, because there are articles about when you're talking about how of course, we deal with widespread systemic racism and these structures. Like America's infrastructure, it's so deeply woven into the fabric of our society. Our government. It's hard to get away from it. There's a racist tinge to everything. Whether it's not, it doesn't have to be like blatant. Like I hate N-words. It can be as simple as the way that a program came about. But the point is, there are white people who, yes, they are good-hearted and well-intentioned. And when you start to talk about a majority or a predominance of white people doing harmful things, then you have somebody saying, well, what about the good? What about the nice people? What about the white people who do this? And if you say this about white people, you're going to only alienate them, and then they're not going to want to help us. It's still problematic, and there are articles on that. I'm not in the mood to educate, but Mike, if you want to look up on it, just type the good white people, and you will probably find 15 different articles about why your statement is seen as problematic to some people. Because even if white people aren't saying blatantly racist things, there's such thing as being complicit and maintaining the status quo. So you may not be outwardly trying to keep black people down, but sometimes looking the other way or not even bothering to look into the injustices that occur locally or widespread nationally, globally. That's still an issue with that we call that the white moderate. So you would just have to look into those type of things.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Let me just respond for a quick second. So I think there's some assumptions that are potentially being made about me now based on what I said.
No.
I want to make it. I just want to make it clear.
No judgment zone.
Hey, Mike, this is the Angels Online, sir. We don't judge any everybody. We got Keisha. We got Keisha here. Don't you worry, baby. This is the Angels Online.
It's all love.
We love everybody.
But just let him finish, though.
This is
I know.
what we.
I'd like to.
Because we
This
had
is healthy.
Keisha.
This is healthy to have a real conversation.
Go
so
ahead.
I'd
Go
like
ahead.
to
This is
respond
healthy
if I
for us.
can.
Go ahead, Mike. Hold on.
My clear distinction, and I appreciate everyone's input. I hear that, all of that. It is not that there aren't problems. That's not what I was commenting on. It was on the statement that white people as a whole are holding black people down intentionally. That's why I stepped in, because that is a very, very strong, and I think it
as a whole.
As a whole, that is not true.
No, that's not.
And also, that type of talk will create damage and not create a healthy environment for growth. And that's why I had to step in, because then if I don't say something, then I'm complicit in agreeing with that statement.
No, you're good. I understand what you're saying. You're saying as a whole. The wording is what took you.
That is what took me. And I 1,000% agree with so many of the problems that are systemic in our society and how they became and how they developed over time. I've done a lot of education on myself and learning about many of these things. So I'm sorry if I'm causing anyone's blood pressure to raise, but I also know that this is such an important convo, and I will say that there's a lot of things that there's a lot of well-intentioned white people that need to learn about some of those things, because I don't think some people are aware of some of these difficulties. I don't think people think from the perspective that if you were bused in from the city to the suburbs, that you had to wake up 2 hours before and go to bed 2 hours later. That's already a disadvantage. People don't realize that they're not thinking.
It's a word called empathy. And some people don't put themselves in other people's shoes and try to understand the things that they're going through on the day-to-day. And when people are empathetic, they tend to understand and they tend to try or find a way to create change. Most people don't want to put themselves in someone else's shoes because then it makes them uncomfortable. When people are uncomfortable, they don't understand that that's a way that withholds yourself from growing. So I always say, make sure you're uncomfortable, because that's the only way you're going to grow. And even these conversations here are uncomfortable for some, but that's allowing you to grow. And and Mike, don't ever feel offended or like you have to explain yourself. Hey, we heard, hey, you can agree to disagree. And if somebody got a problem with that, they on the wrong platform.
Yeah. He can for sure agree to disagree, but I think what's missing from this Reverend or Anthony, Anthony. Okay, but it's like one could also argue that by Mike stopping, yes, the statement that all white people are intentionally, keeping black people down. Mike stopping to make sure that he brings an objection to say, but it's not all white people. You could make an argument for white fragility. You could make an argument for him centering white people in that moment. There's so much literature on this, and when I say raise my blood pressure, I just meant that even in uncomfortable conversations, we need reminders that it's not black people's job to educate white people during these uncomfortable conversations. And also, I would encourage white people too, if they feel like they have knowledge about systemic things that are happening, to take it upon themselves to educate other white people, because it becomes exhausting for black people to constantly say, "Hey, this is why this statement is problematic. Let me help you here." And so that's what I meant by raising blood pressure. That it's just not saying in the only way you need to educate to even stop somebody to say, "Hey, look this up or look that up."
Hold on, guys. I gotta chime in. I gotta stop this. This is going long. This is gonna be a 2-part episode, FYI, because this is something. Good people. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going good. Y'all done answer questions, and I love the dialogue. I love the perspective. I love the experience. And I want to say a special shout out to that young lady, Taylor Davidson, because she wasn't going to come home because she know how she get. Taylor has a degree from University of Chicago, Washington University, and Harvard. She went to Eureka. She got out because she was not comfortable at Eureka, so she got out of there, and she graduated from Carter Ritter High School, which is a private school predominantly black. So I would like to give her kudos while she needs them, while she's here. Give her those flowers. Everybody, the conversation has been wonderful, and we got a few more minutes. Good God, and I'm not gonna move to the next question. Keisha, I want Keisha to say something before I say something that one of the viewers said. Go ahead.
All right. Well, real quick. I'm surrounded by Eureka. So I went to the South Side, South County, in Afton. So that was my experience from kindergarten up through 7th grade, and then I left. Right. It just wasn't the best experience. Did I have good times there? Yes, I did. Did I experience racism? A lot of it was from the white kids that was there. Not so much from the teachers, because they know my mama didn't play. She was one of those ones that was not going to let me get lost out there because it was a culture shock. I was surviving North City, and then I had to go to South County, and I had to survive there too.
Come on,
that's a whole nother topic that we have to talk about, right? The violence in the city and the racism out of South County. But a lot of my thing that I want to point out was the education that I received. I got straight A's. Me and this little white boy. You know how you compare your grades with the class? What'd you get? That was in 5th grade. Got into middle school at Rogers Middle. You don't see them anymore, right? You split up. You got different classes, and I'm like, I see this guy once, and I said, well, where you been? He's like, oh, I'm in the accelerated program, A-Track. And I'm like, oh, wait. But I'm like, and I started questioning myself. Now, I know you didn't get straight A's. You got A's and B's and whatever. And so I'm trying to figure out how I didn't get in. I had to go to the counselor, brought it up to her. She was confused at how I knew that program existed. I got in the program after fighting because I think they let me in because it might have been an issue with that. The only black student. And I was not the only black person with a brilliant mind, that could have participated in that. I participated in that program, the A-Track and the B-Track, the A-Track program for a year. They dismantled it.
You done found out.
I found out the secret, and they let it go. So it's just different levels.
Equity.
And what year was this? This is the desegregation experience.
Yeah, like 96, 97. So this goes back to that time frame. So there are so many different levels, and look, you found me because your cousin tagged you,
this
right?
Little man right here.
You tagged me, right? Because you saw a post. Because when I had put up a post on Facebook saying I need to sit back and really unpack my experience being a part of the DSEG program in St. Louis, and I got so many comments of people wanting to know about this. So this is something that you need to continue. This is something that we all need to voice.
We're gonna do a part 2 of this because I got more questions.
Yeah,
I got more. Like this makes me happy with everybody sitting around this table, this experience, because it's people waiting to hear this. It's people that wish they knew about it, that I was shooting this, that knew about the Angels Online. It's people out here that really want to know about it. And so we gonna continue this. So I'll reach out to everybody. Next week we'll be here. We'll pick a day. Everybody's available. If you got to be on phone or whatever. This is interesting just to hear these perspectives. But what I want to say is, because I asked a question, I'm gonna save these questions. But I asked a question to some people who are not here, who are white, who went to school out there with us, and I asked, how was your experience with the DSEG program? And I will leave them anonymous, but I really want to read this one before I stop. This one right to me just really hit me. It's a doctor. Dr. Anonymous stated, I didn't know any different because they did that at Eureka Elementary. I was friends with everyone and didn't understand that bussing out was a thing until high school, which is slightly embarrassing. I don't know how I didn't know. It definitely impacted me in a positive way in that I was able to get to know and befriend people who are of a different background. I didn't understand racism when I was little because I was used to the diversity. The incident in which I was first exposed to racism is burned in my memory, and I think it was my freshman year when I saw a pickup truck of older white male students speeding through the Eureka High School parking lot, blasting music with giant Confederate flags. Somebody else just said that here. That's the number one thing that everybody I talk to says. And then it says, I knew what the flags meant, but I hadn't witnessed blatant racism like that before. It made me feel sick to my stomach. I was naive, and my parents, especially my dad, raised me to love and respect everybody. So I think having students bust out normalized diversity with early exposure, and it fit with my parents' teachings. That is my take from it looking back at it at the time. It opened a doorway for me to continue to be open-minded with diversity and further work toward more cultural competence and understanding and owning my own personal privilege. I am thankful for it because I work with students who have not had much exposure, and their thought processes around cultural diversity are scary. I often wonder what it will be like for them when they go to larger universities if they move on with school and are around a lot of diverse groups of people. I wonder how they will adapt and what that culture shock might be for them. Cultural diversity is something I intentionally try to work into my teachings as often as I can. I often wonder what it was like to be bussed out and if students like that. I understand it was a long drive, which meant getting up earlier and getting home later. I never asked, and I wish I would have.
Well, I'll tell you, waking up early, not wanting to miss your bus. It honestly, I'm thankful for it because it taught me discipline.
Come on.
It taught me to wake up early. It taught me to be type A, and
be punctual.
It taught me to be punctual, and I've been punctual my life as a result of it. It just helped me grow as a person and mature, and gave me what I need, the tools that I needed to become a leader. And it stunk waking up early. I mean, it wasn't fun, especially if you miss your bus and end up chasing a bus after a bus because if it's gone, you can't get to school because it was 40 miles away.
And you know
Don't
what
have
it
a
did?
house key.
And you know, and you know what it did. Before I stop, you know what it did is to teach you that the people that's on that bus with you going through the same thing that you're going through, the exact same thing. So respect the people that you sit in the class with, and that's what I try to teach kids. Y'all being mean to each other. Ain't nobody in here perfect. Y'all disrespecting one another. Nobody in this class is perfect. Everybody's going through something at home, and I don't care what color your skin is. You're going through divorce. You're going through hunger.
Trauma.
You're going through what your parents. Everybody got food stamps during COVID. White, black, Hispanic, everybody.
Well, hold up.
Look, I ain't getting none because I was essential. I was an essential worker. But listen, we're gonna save this. This is part one, ladies and gentlemen, of the Angels Online. Everybody know that we gotta end with everybody saying good people, good people. We're gonna start with the Wonders Online. Anthony Perry, can you give me a good people, good people?
Good people, good people.
Mike, can you give me a good people, good people?
Good people, good people.
Taylor, can you give me one?
Good people, good people.
There it is. Mike, there it is. It's on you, Mr. Shed. Go ahead. Here he go.
Black people, black people. All right, good people.
Come on.
Good people, good people.
Good people, good people.
Good people, good people.
Good people.
Good people, good people.
Good people, good people.
And it's me, Angel, ladies and gentlemen. Good people, good people. You got to get a people what they want. Good people, good people.
Good people, good people.
Good people, good people.
Good people, good people.